Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me exploring a piece of abandoned history, heading in the wild landscapes of Scotland. Today I've parked the wee Honda right at the door of this house, which is at the roadside here. It's kinda in the glens out the back of Glams, and this is just a random find. Shout out AKR channel historian, he was able to uncover this little bit of history. And wow, I just love seeing stuff like this. A little bit of the Glen history, just about forgotten forever, and I love seeing the decor of these old houses. Yeah, check it out, look at the old fireplace. That's like what my granny used to have in her house back in the days. The old mantelpiece, almost like an Art Deco look to it. Oh, I've just realised I've left my torch in the car. Sometimes it's just an opportunity to explore a place like this. It tells a tale of like a wee bit of history from a Scottish house in the countryside. Check out this. It's cool to share history like this before it's like gone and forgotten forever. Yeah, this is a Singer sewing machine right here, folks. Check out that, eh? Wow, it's crazy the little things. It's like in houses, a lot of people had sewing machines in their houses. This must have been a bedroom. Look at the window with the crisscross pattern on it. Insane scenes out here, folks. Nothing but bird droppings on the floor here. Wow. To the landowner and the house owner, we always can do no harm. It's crazy to see the difference like between all the houses that I visit and the different levels of decay. Because I'm parked right at the house door, so like if anybody looks from the farm down the road, they'll see clearly that we're here. It's interesting just to see this. It's like maybe 1980s even, some of this stuff, but maybe it's been used as like storage at a later time. Wow, it's so cool to see this, folks. Another abandoned house on the channel. This one's probably been a farm worker's house originally. Look, the curtains are still in the window, just blowing in the wind. And it's crazy because like yesterday I didn't even know this place existed. Whoa, there's so much like bird droppings. Look, that's crazy, the cups are still hanging on the shelf. It just shows you, it's just like somebody one day just left the house. Look at that. All those plates and dishes just left where they were. The old crate for the milk bottles. It's often like travelling back in time when you go to a house like this and you just see little layers of history from different years. And like, see like the door handles and stuff, they've got mega like 1960s kind of look to them. There's been birds nesting even up on top of the cistern. Wow, this is so cool, folks. Real history here of Scotland, documented once again. And it's like a cotter house, farm worker's house. I'm absolutely freezing. It's an ice cold wind blowing in this living room window. Look at the old cooker. It's a Belling classic ceramic. That would have been quite a unit in its day with the ceramic hob. Wow, this is crazy, folks. I was thinking that was it, but look, this is the front door with a little porch. Just check it out here. Wow, there's a hole in the floor because there's no windows in this place. Yeah, check out the old school like sofa. Wow. And then the fireplace. Yeah, I love seeing rooms like this, folks. All the houses I visit, some of them are really decayed and degraded. And other ones like this, the roof and everything seems to be in pretty good condition. It's just waiting to be bought and like renovated. It looks like it has been lived in, maybe in the 80s I would say most recently. But I'm not sure if like what the backstory is or even the history of a place like this. It's just like a random little explore. I love the old design, look at that. I'm actually shivering because it's like literally 2 degrees Celsius and again the cold wind coming in the window there, it's making me shiver. There's a book there, folks. What is the book? Agatha Christie. Wow, folks, real history of Scotland documented once again. It's cool doing these wee short videos and just looking at the architecture of these old Scottish houses. It's crazy over the years, some of the things we've found. Just think about the farm workers that may have come in at one time and hung their coat here after a hard day's work. Maybe on their tractor. Sometimes back in those days, say like the 60s and that, the 70s, they had no cab. Days like today, they would be out in the open, cold wind blowing round. What do we have here? Scottish Home and Country. Look at that, it's an old magazine, Scottish Home and Country. Some people maybe subscribe to like that sort of magazines and that. That's before the days of the internet and before the days of YouTube. Another interesting bit of history which is out here. Along the road, that massive hill that we can see in the distance, there's actually a hill fort. An abandoned hill fort on top of that. So we'll actually go one day and take a look at that as well. I've got rain on the lens, folks. I'll give that a wipe and then we'll head in to this next building. Check this out, folks. It's crazy sometimes the places that I find on my adventures. Like, look at that piled high with furniture. Wow, there's like cables hanging down and stuff like that. What is inside this, folks? Look at this, I love this, folks. Look at the character of this fireplace. It's the sort of thing, if this house got redeveloped or even changed, then all this would be gone. Little nuggets of the history. The old decorations feel like the 60s and 70s, maybe even older. Then when I was little, we lived in houses that had little fireplaces like this. That was the country way. Often the fireplace in the living room had the water tank behind it, and that heated your water. So you had to put a good fire on if you were needing a bath. Look at the old weighing scales. Hanson. Looks like a classic unit right there. Look, here's an old fitness rowing machine almost type of device. Oh, and look, it's got the pedals on it as well. It must have been a multi-fitness kind of device. Look at this, folks. There's like toys and stuff. A toy helicopter. It looks old because it's made of metal. And most of the time stuff nowadays. Oh, look at the old clock. West Clocks is the make. I'm just trying to think of a year. I'm thinking 1960s, like. Yeah, 1960s I'm thinking. So rusty on the back, I can't even make out any like makes or anything on it. It's cool to see that, folks. Just think of the families and stuff that may have lived in these, and they spent every day of their life. And then one day it's just left, abandoned and forgotten. The history just decays and degrades, and before you know it, nature takes back over. It's like some of the other houses that I visit, it can often just be like a pile of stones. Whereas at one time it would have been more like this. This has been some sort of like small bedroom. Look at that TV. Wow. That's some old school like design right there, folks. It's got like the little fader and like you can adjust the picture and stuff with little sliders. Yeah, we're keeping it moving, folks. Through to the next room. Look at the decor with the blue and then the yellow. Yeah, it's almost like a mirror image to what we saw in the other Cotter house. But this person's obviously painted theirs a different colour. It's like they've painted a bit of the cistern blue as well. The old sinks. The sink is quite low down. They're on the old metal frames. Wow, it's so peaceful in a place like this. There's just no sound. Houses like this is just out in the wilds. They were built for a purpose, for the workers of the land to have a nice place to live. But nowadays farming's kind of moved on, and like the bigger farms will own all this land. Even bigger estates sometimes take the land over, and the individual farms don't need as many people working for them. Sometimes modern technology, one tractor can do the job where you would have needed 3 back in the 1960s. Look at the old cooker, still in place. It's a Tri-City President. Tri-City President, folks. Double oven. Imagine looking out your window out onto that hill. Look at these spider webs as well on the glass. It's the character of all that I love about exploring like abandoned history and abandoned places. Like they've had their little larder here as well. Can just think of all like the jam and stuff that may have been stored here at one time. What is this device? Oh, it's a heater, I think. Look at that. That's maybe been through in this other room at one time. It's got the coal fire though, I'm not sure about that. It's unusual they would have that electric heater through here originally though. Yeah, look at the old boxes even. Looks like this is the house of pigeons now for sure. Look, even the kitchen door's got a lock on it. Maybe that was so if somebody came and like broke into your house, they would struggle to like steal your stovies. Look at this, the way it's decaying and rotting, you can tell this is the last few years of its existence. That's why it's been cool to come and stop here today and document what's left. Look, it's lath and plaster, which is like the wooden laths, and then the plaster was smeared onto it. But a detail I can see, the corners weren't right angles, it curves. And I've actually seen that at multiple old properties from this era. It must have been what they did. Yeah, it's like a double gas. Must be some sort of like camping stove or a cooker. Wow, folks, though, what an adventure this has been. It's been fun just to come and see what's left of a time gone by. Look, under the wallpaper we can see remains of the old decor. When the house was first built, look at the pencil line. So the coat hooks here have been part of the original house design. And you can actually see the joiner's pencil mark. And yeah, that could be absolute years ago, because I believe this wallpaper that's flapping in the wind will be from like the 60s period. So I believe these marks will be ancient. Maybe for early 1900s. And maybe even late 1800s, those pencil marks were put on, I believe. Yeah, that's so interesting to see. Look at this though, it's just piled high with old furniture. Maybe even from a different house as well. There's an old Sony 100L ghetto blaster. It's the classic stereo you used to see back in the day. Oh look, a 1992 calendar. So that makes sense. I says it looked like it was 80s it was last lived in. So maybe potentially it was early 90s. But it must have been kind of getting run down by that time. But things can degrade so quick. You can see the old lead based paint. It flakes off that way once the dampness sets in. Anyway, we'll keep this adventure going, folks. When I explore these houses, you absolutely never know what you're going to find, and every time I go, they're totally different. And we'll see what's around the back of this one. It's always interesting because I grew up in the countryside. It's places like this tell a little story of countryside life. And it's like, I'm always interested just to see what's there. Look, there's an inlet manifold off something. some sort of engine. Old bike tyres and tubes. Here we go, folks, we're heading round the back here through the thick brash. Oh, look at this. It's a Hater-Eti. A Hater-Eti lawnmower, folks. Almost looks like a Briggs & Stratton engine, judging by the shape of the air filter. Wow, I love seeing that. It's a classic lawnmower to go along with the classic house. That lawnmower looks like it's probably a 1980s. See these bushes, folks, they're higher than my head. So that shows a few months ago when all this was green and growing, you would have struggled to even explore a place like this. See this little stone building? Originally, years before the toilet was inside, that may have been the outhouse. But then it was most likely just a stick and coal shed there. Look at this, we're going round the back, folks. Check the character of the outside of these windows. I often just can't believe the history that we keep on finding. It's like, it's crazy to think too, there's an ancient fort up this road as well. We're definitely going to have to go up and explore that ancient fort soon for a video. Look at the way the current's just blowing out the open window, it's eerie. It's got a spooky vibe to it, folks, but yeah, what a nice old house. It's obviously been two houses at once, but it's the sort of thing, the roof is in really good condition, and if somebody bought this, they could do it up into one house and you would have plenty of room. Some of those smaller rooms you could make into like bigger rooms. But that has been so interesting to see that, folks. I'm glad that I came along this road. I wasn't even sure if I was going to bother. I was going to wait until next week before I came to record this location, so it's so cool that I've been able to do it and get it out of the way. Like, there's the old flushing handle. That's the kind of old toilet you would totally pull this chain to flush the toilet. Yeah, it's just like all debris that must have come out of the houses at one time. Somebody maybe cleared it out, but to me it just looks like now there's just so many pigeons and stuff living in there. It's just insane scenes. Anyway, folks, let's head on out of here. That's been a crazy adventure. We've documented another bit of abandoned Scottish history, and yeah, look, there's a pipe coming out of the ground here, so I'm not sure if there's been like, the original outhouse may have been actually here and then they've changed it into a garage at a later time. It has had the electric coming in, I believe the phone and stuff like that. It's a well built house with a wooden structure there kind of under the roof. Again, it's no just a quick throwing up house. It's got incredible detail and it would make a beautiful house. Imagine looking out over this view. The scenes are insane, folks. And like I say, that massive hill there, it's like some of the old forts I've visited like previously on videos. They seem to have built them on prominent, almost cliff-like hills, which was obviously for defensive purposes. And then that's going way back to the ancient times of Scotland. And compared to adventures like this, when it's like modern history, you could call it. But it's so cool just to see a variety of stuff for all different time periods in Scottish history. And yeah, there we go, folks. That's another one documented. That was a fun one though, because I love when I find like houses and stuff. It's like, you just never know what you're going to see. Look at that for a haunting looking scene, folks. There's something eerie about abandoned houses. I think it's the darkness of the windows when they don't have glass, but the character of the decay is incredible, with the grass growing out of the gutters and the rotten wood falling off the faces of the porch. It all just adds to the overall character of the abandoned history. That's what we love documenting here, and telling the story of kind of what the people that might have lived there at one time. Yeah, we've done it again, folks. I love having fresh stuff kind of like this as often as I can, but you're limited in Scotland obviously this time of year with the daylight kind of at the weekends as well. If it's raining and stuff, you have to fit adventures in between that. But we've managed it here to bring a fresh area, and I'm happy with that, folks. But I'm going to end it here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with the next one.